very chaotic. I had different people telling me that they were going to do my website, telling me that they were going to help me with my social media. And I seemed to know more about my social media stuff than they did, even though they were alleged digital marketers. And I'd had about 3 or 4 different people before that. And when Susan came in, it was awesome. She did the chat with me. We had a long discussion about what my needs were. We rebranded everything, got my new logo, all of that stuff. And she asked the relevant questions to find out more about what my practice was, what my beliefs were, what I wanted out of all of this. And then from that, she created this amazing website and then had people help me with the social media aspect, and then also do the extra stuff like the blogs and the newsletter, which is something that I was like, I don't know about that. And so it was extremely helpful with her doing all of that. Like I said, getting the consistency of people who are working for you, basically. I mean, Susan came in, she had a whole team. It was very professional. I was extremely impressed with that. Susan is very well aware that I'm all about female empowerment. And so probably that's what got me into a lot of trouble before, because I did want to give these younger girls that I knew and had seen come up and had just qualified and graduated, I wanted to give them a chance. But, I also expect that if you're doing a job, you need to do it properly. And that was not the case. They didn't deliver, but Susan's always delivered. It's always been the greatest thing that every time she will always deliver. Whatever happens, she'll always tell me the stuff. And she's brutally honest, which is what I like, because that's her field. That's not my field. If I say something, she's like, I don't think that's going to work. And it's nice with the whole team. Like when we have the meetings with the social media stuff, okay, what are we going to do? What are we going to plan for this? So I like the plans that we do. So there's always like every 6 months, okay, what are we doing for the next 6 months? What do we need to do? What promotions? Then it's the same with getting the blog out, getting the newsletter out. Are we going to do these promotions? I mean, I would not even have any clue about that. And so she's an expert. So I actually like leaving that with her. Everyone's very accommodating of my time, because I usually am busy. I'm working in the operating room half the time, then I'm running through the clinic, then I'm doing other stuff. So I've got like 10,000 things on my plate. And then it's always nice that people are usually accommodating me. Like even when I'm in South Africa, I'll still have meetings there. I know the one time it was at 6 a.m. for me, and they thought, how are you doing this? I said, well, you guys are doing in the evening. So it's 6 a.m. It's not 2 a.m. So, I'll get up and I'll do the stuff. But I like the fact that I'm very well accommodated. If I'm struggling with something, there's always help available to me. And if I have a problem with something, I just have to email or text and it gets dealt with immediately. And for me, working in the operating room where I'm so used to everyone being efficient, I just naturally assume that everyone's like that in the real world. So it's very, very refreshing to see that eVision Media and Susan and the whole team are actually extremely efficient in everything that they do. There's nothing that's delayed. If I have a question, it's always dealt with immediately and appropriately. And I appreciate those things. I have 2 words. I cannot lie. Happiness is the first word, and safety is the second word. And those things are important to me because I actually know that I'm in good hands with this company. I know that nothing is going to go wrong. I know that my issues are dealt with accordingly. If I have concerns, they're also sorted out. And we have open lines of communication. And that's something that's very important to me. I don't have to bother about what an SEO is because I never knew what that was in the beginning. And Daniel's been awesome with that. He's been doing the stuff. It's been getting more like, I think I've been with eVision for 2 years now. And so it's been fantastic because slowly I'm seeing, because I am a patient person. most of the time. And so I knew that this would take long. And people are finding me through my website now. So I get phone calls. I'm like, oh, how did you find me? They're like, oh, I just Googled you and you came up. So I'm like, whatever eVision Media is doing, they're doing it correctly, because I'm now coming up right on top instead of right at the bottom. And so that's made my life much easier, because chasing patients is not really something that I want to do. It's also not it's not the energy that I want to give off either. Those are not the clients that I actually want. I want patients to actually come to me because they're like, oh, look at that good website. Look at all the work that she does. Look at the social media. Look at all the before and afters. And that's what eVision Media has actually done. They've created all of that for me. It's very professional, and that appeals to my need for everything to be efficient, professional, and moving smoothly. For me, the most valuable thing was the website and the newsletters, because the newsletter goes out before we get the phone call. We get people looking at the website and like I said, most of my clientele are above 40. So they are the let's research everything type of generation. They don't believe Instagram. They don't believe Facebook. They need to do their due diligence. And so seeing a website that looks legit, that looks nice and appealing is very important for them. And that is my clientele base. That's where I want to focus most of my clients. And so working with eVision Media has really helped with that, because the website and the newsletters have been the most significant positive change in my whole practice. 100% recommend to anybody. I usually tell people. I have recommended Susan to people, some of the business women that I know who are looking at people, and they were like, I always tell them, I was like, well, if you're having a problem here, I know someone, she's doing a great job. So she's my go-to. Susan and eVision Media are my go-to whenever I recommend, because I talk about everyone in the team and how it works and how much I enjoy working with everybody and how accommodating people are. I mean, I'm hoping that I'm a half decent client who doesn't complain too much. So I'm not the client that causes the problems, because I have clients like that as well. But I have recommended her, and I would still continue recommending her to anyone who's asking for someone to redesign everything, or even just change things a little bit. Hate is a very strong word. I don't hate anyone except my ex-husband. And even then, I don't hate him anymore. So it's a difficult thing. I mean, if you wanted me to pick on something, the fact that you're constantly keeping me accountable. That's about it. You're constantly saying, hey, we need to do this now. We need to do this now. And I mean, for me, like I said, because hate is not usually in my vocabulary, I look at it as a positive thing, because I like being held accountable. So I would assume most people would not like that, because they would think of you as pestering. If you don't pester me, to be honest, I'm not going to remember, because I have 60,000 emails unread. If you don't text me and remind me of the stuff, I will forget. And so I would say keeping me accountable might be the one thing